Hey everyone, welcome back to Bryan's Mysteries and Adventures on Trail. And before we get started, I just wanted to let everyone know, in case you didn't hear in my last video, the calendars that I have are in for the merch. So if you want one, in the description of this video and some of the prior ones, there'll be a link to my PayPal, Venmo, or you can mail me a check. If you're using PayPal, it's going to be $16, and just send me your address and I'll send you out the calendar. Venmo, and if you mail a check, it'll just be $15, and that's just because PayPal charges a fee, which works out to be right around $1. Alright guys, so we're going back to Glacier National Park, and we're going to be talking about 3 unsolved missing hiker cases, and some of these are from a long time ago, but they nonetheless are very, very bizarre, and 2 of these are basically the first cases of ever being going missing in Glacier National Park. And it was back during a time where this wasn't really a known thing and they didn't know as much of how to deal with it. So this first case takes us back to Glacier National Park in the summer of 1924, when 2 brothers went missing. Joseph Whitehead, 29, and his brother William, 22. They had taken a train from Chicago, the Oriental Northern Railroad Express, and they had come up to Glacier National Park to explore. And one of the brothers, Joseph, was an engineer at the Universal Battery Company in Chicago, and he had been working there. And apparently both brothers were very intelligent young men, and they were both very well mannered, very well put together, and very conservative. His brother William, who was 22 at the time, he was attending MIT University in Boston, Massachusetts. Now, prior to their disappearance, they had been hiking around Glacier Lake National Park for around a week, and they had been exploring the various places like Iceberg Lake and Cracker Lake. They were traveling around mostly on foot, but then apparently after some point, after they had done some of these hikes and various campouts, they traveled around by car and also by horseback from, at one point, Glacier Park Lodge to the Granite Park Chalet. Now, after they had gotten to the Granite Park Chalet, they stayed there for a couple of days, and one reason that we know so much about their travels was because apparently they wrote letters and telegraphs to their mother every day. And this is how we know, I mean, based on those telegraphs and letters, they told their mother that they were just enjoying their time, but they weren't really taking any risks. They were sticking to the trails and marked trails. But, who knows? This could have been just something they were saying to their mom to put her mind at ease. In any event, they had planned their next leg of this trip, which was a 20-mile hike from what was then known as the Chalet de Lewis, which is now actually, today it's called the Lake McDonald Lodge. So on August 24th, they set out for this venture of their trip. And according to letters that they had written their mom, they had planned to get on the Great Northern Railroad's Oriental Limited train back to Chicago once they had completed that part of their journey. In his last letter to his mother on August 20th, 1924, Joseph wrote, "We are enjoying ourselves very much and taking no chances of injury. Don't worry, Mother, we won't go into any danger." 4 days later, on August 24th of 1924, the brothers left the Granite Park Chalet and started their trip to the Lewis Hotel at Lake McDonald. They were spotted a few times. They were spotted for the last time, and they were said to be dressed in their hiking wear, smiling, and they were roughly 10 miles from their final destination. However, when neither of them were seen getting off the train on September 1st, that was when the mother was expecting them back. That's when the 2-year search for the boys began. There have been several books written about this case, and one of the authors, Morvac, he described the search as the most extensive search operation ever conducted in a national park. I mean, this just goes beyond what we know today. At one point, President Calvin Coolidge actually wired the park administrators, telling the rangers to spare no expense. They had various rangers involved. They had famous Indian tracker guides that were helping. They had all kinds of people involved in this search. The Secretary of the Interior at the time, F.M. Goodwin, reported on September 16th of that year, "There has never been a search in national parks conducted with more vigor and effort." But unfortunately, even with all that, the Whitehead brothers were not found. Even the FBI director at the time, J. Edgar Hoover, had filed detailed progress reports with the director of the National Park Service and the Secretary of the Interior, following up on leads, trying to find clues. Unfortunately, even through all this, with all these huge agencies helping out, just leads ran out. And of course, the mother, Dora Whitehead, she was obviously just out of her mind with worry. And this is when, people started believing that the brothers had, either died of natural causes, which a lot of people believe, but then never found the bodies. Then people started believing that it was foul play, things like, something with illegal bootleggers. And Dora Whitehead, the boy's mother, she wrote the Secretary of the Interior, and she wrote in her words, "I want my 2 sons, dead or alive. Surely I am not asking too much. They belong to me. I have the right to have them. My sons were murdered or kidnapped in a national park, and I am pleading with the government of the United States to find them." Very eerily, she received a postcard that they had written her on August 23rd of 1924, and that postcard read, "Dear Mom, we've seen bear grass on our trips. These postal cards are on top of the menus. We are just leaving Many Glacier from Granite Park. We are both okay." And unfortunately, despite all these efforts and this exhaustive government search, these boys were never found. No evidence or clues of their remains were ever found. No articles of clothing, nothing. I mean, it's just like they vanished into thin air. And this case to this day still remains one of the most mysterious cases in Glacier National Park, if not any national park. And according to the author C.W. Buchholz, that he wrote in the book Men in Glacier, that the job of park rangers was forever shifted, which is probably true. Hopefully one day we'll get an answer to what actually happened to these men and they can be brought home for a proper burial. But for now, it's just one of those enduring mysteries of Glacier National Park. Our next case, we're going to jump ahead to June of 2003, and it is the case of Larry Kimble. And Larry Kimble was 40 years old at the time of his disappearance. He was from Dorr, Michigan, and he is 6 feet 1 inches tall, about 150 to 160 pounds. He's got brown hair and brown eyes, and he had a long ponytail that he kept his hair in. Now, this case is very bizarre. He was last seen by his friends and family in Dorr, Michigan. However, then his truck, his 1998 blue GMC truck, was found parked at the Rocky Point Trailhead in Glacier National Park, and it appeared to be abandoned. The truck was found on June 16th of 2003, and the park spokesperson, Tony Clark, he said that the rangers began monitoring the vehicle daily. They just kind of watched it, and then they finally impounded it on June 23rd. They figured out that who owned it, and they contacted Kimball's family, as well as the Allegan County Sheriff's Office. The Allegan County Sheriff's Office was the one that actually did the initial missing report. Now, his family, once they contacted him, of course, they were extremely concerned. His brother, John Kimball, apparently told deputies that they had not seen or heard from him since spring. And they subsequently, the local authorities searched Kimball's residence, and they found no further clues as to where he was or any travel or itineraries or anything that was really helpful. Kimball was not known to be a hiker or camper, and he hadn't told his travel itinerary to anybody. The park rangers did find an entrance receipt dated May 29th inside his vehicle, and apparently he had been seen near at the Fish Creek campground, but that's unconfirmed. It's also not known what he did between the time that he left Michigan and the time that he made it up to Glacier National Park, or if he had made any other stops in between that time, because he had not been seen since early springtime, apparently like March. This was now all happening in the summer of 2003. So they didn't really have anything to go on except for the park entrance receipt that was dated May 29th. Obviously his vehicle that was abandoned at the Rocky Point trailhead. So rangers started their search on June 27th. They had dog handlers and various other, search efforts like they do. And unfortunately, they didn't find anything. They didn't find any, evidence of him or any leftover gear. And so that search just sort of fizzled out. And then a second search effort started on July 10th. And they were doing various grid searches with that search. But unfortunately, various fires broke out on the east side of the park, which obviously caused even more problems. More people had to go help fight the fire, and that search was subsequently discontinued. And it's important to remember, Glacier National Park has 1 million acres of terrain. So, it is just, when someone goes missing and they have no idea even where to start. The truck gave them some idea, but they didn't even know why he was there in the first place, as he wasn't a hiker or a camper. So it's, really hard in these type of situations. Now, they did go around and put up, missing flyers throughout the Fish Creek campground and all around the Rocky Point trailhead. And it's thought that possibly he may have fallen into Lake McDonald, because apparently it's really rugged, and despite several searches, he was never found, and no other evidence of him being there was ever found, or why he was there been discovered. And there was also the big fire that summer, the Robert Fire, which was happening in around that area, so it could have possibly destroyed evidence, things belonging to him, or he could have gotten caught up in that fire as well. It's just impossible to say. For now, it is still an open, active investigation, and the authorities are focusing on talking with the family members and his friends and trying to figure out why he might have been there or what his possible itinerary was. If you have any information regarding this case, please contact the Glacier National Park Dispatch at 406-888-7801. It's hard to know what happened to any of these men. It's possible they just got lost and couldn't find their way out, or possibly ran into foul weather and just succumbed to the elements. Animal predation is always a possibility. And of course, foul play is always a possibility too. You just never know. Without any evidence, it's hard to say. My thoughts and prayers go out to these men and anyone who's ever lost a person in a national park or any type of situation, and just hoping that they can be brought home so that the families can get the closure that they so desperately need and deserve. I want to thank everybody for watching, as always, and as always, please be respectful in the comments if you choose to leave them. And if you would like to buy a calendar, like I said, I will have the information in the description. Thank you to co.ag for providing the background music, and I will see everybody in the next one. Take care. Alright guys, thanks for sticking with me to the end. I just wanted to say thank you for always following all my videos and giving me all the great support that you always do. And I am working on a second part of this Glacier National Park video, which will have more disappearances, as well as some other parks that I'm working on too, as well as working on different cases that have been brought to my attention by various subscribers and viewers. And I also wanted to let you guys know that I am going to be doing a giveaway for Halloween. I'm not sure what it's going to be yet, but I think it's going to be a through pack fanny pack. I'm going to start doing giveaways when I can, just to help get people involved. And these are going to be like safety items. I think a fanny pack is a great thing because you can keep different survival gear in it, and that way if you get separated from your pack, I always carry one. And then as we get into the other holidays, we can talk about other giveaways that we can do as well. Alright guys, thank you so much for watching. I will see you guys in the next one. Take care.